Hi, it's me again with Corel tips and tricks. The other day I did a video on a font called Hello Honey, and somebody wanted to know how they could make something like this. I've already helped them, but it was pretty interesting, so I thought I'd show you a pretty good way to do graphics. So I'm just going to type out the word with all lowercase, and I'm going to turn that font into Hello Honey. If you don't have that, I think it was on DA Fonts, or I'll put a link to this video on this. Now what you do, you take your font cursor and just swipe through till it's blue and get this down arrow, and you can see what you can do with this, and you could pick any of these. I'm going to go ahead and just pick that. So now I have a lot of hearts. I'm going to go to Object and break love apart. So now I just have one heart. You know what? This one might be the best one. So let's take, and you could have done it with just one letter possibly. So now I'm going to go ahead and go up to Object and convert it to a curve. And then I can left click, right click, and kind of see it better what it's going to look like. And there's probably a lot of ways you could do this. I'm going to take a 2-point line if you wanted it somewhat symmetrical. And then I'm going to see how big this is, and it's, wow, it's over 12 inches. So I'm just going to nudge 3 inches. That's pretty good. Control D, nudge it back, and then back again. Now I'm going to just take my Smart Fill tool and fill this in. Now I have pretty much a symmetrical, and in this case, I could have used the, you know what, let's do that. Let's change our nudge factor to like 1 inch, and let's go ahead and make this 1 inch bigger, maybe even 2. We got it, that's pretty much because we're going to run into that factor, or that part of that O. We're going to Smart Fill that. And now that Smart Fill made a new object. So I'm going to left click, right click. I can get rid of all this. I'm going to hit P and put it in the center of the page, which really doesn't matter. I must hit the delete. And now to get these tails a little bit more of a swoop, I'm going to use the envelope tool. And I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to go right up to there. Look at that. It kind of gives you a swoop, and then you can bring these bars down, these handles, and it would be nice if they were close inside, so you could bring down an indexing line and put it like right there, and I'm pretty close. You know, when you get back to there and use the envelope tool again, you could move this slightly down and get it on top of that indexing line. I don't think that's as important as you would think, and really I'm not, probably not high enough. So let's get the envelope tool back. Let's go ahead and move our let's move our indexing line up a little bit. And let's get the envelope tool again. And let's bring this up a little more. Now, when you do that, it's kind of deforming making that pretty thin. But if we grab the envelope tool again and grab this down and make that a little bit, well, that's going through the middle. I should be able to click, there we go. Click on that node and make that part a little wider. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to go up. I'm not really concerned about the width or the height right now, because I think it's, you just want a swoop. We could maybe even go taller, but I think that's going to be good enough for the video. And I might be too long. You know, I might have just stayed with my original. I'm going to hit P and put this circle in the center of the page. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to select both. Well, I'm going to select both of them, hit P, then I'm going to hit T. And that kind of put it near the top. Now, at first I was a little bit confused, but he did want it on the outside. So I'm going to hold down my control button and raise this up. Now, just kind of figure out how many hearts you could get in there. So double click, and what I'm going to do, what I've started doing is put a little bitty circle and hit P. That way, when I move my center rotation, if it'll snap to that center, I'm going to get rid of my indexing lines. And you can see it's in the center. Then just kind of rotate it. It needs to be divisible by 360. So look at that, 30 is going to work. So let's put it back and let's go Control D and rotate it 30 degrees. Now see how close we are, but so what we could possibly do now, and that might be something you'd want, but let's take away the copy and let's, probably the easiest thing to do would just be, because I don't think it has to be symmetrical, I'm going to hit the plus key and then mirror that item. And I'm not going to cut this off. I'm going to move my circle out of the way for a second. I'm going to use the Smart Fill tool because the Smart Fill tool is going to fill that in. I'm going to nudge that out of the way. Didn't really have to. I'm going to hit P, put it back in the center of the page, put that back in the center of the page. Grab them both and hit T like in Tom. That'll put it close to the top. You can see my circle went with it, my little circle. So I could actually get my little circle and hit P. I'm going to left click, right click, and while holding down the control button, I'm going to go to the top. And this is where you could, you could go all the way up into there. Then double click on it because you made, and what's so neat about this heart, it's not perfect. It's not like you drew a heart and did that. I didn't get to the center. Sometimes it's a little more difficult than you would think. And if you don't hit that, there we go. Now I'm going to Control D and make a duplicate. And I'm going to rotate it at 30 degrees. That looks pretty good. Control D all the way around. Now you have to get rid of, I'd go ahead and get rid of that circle. I wouldn't get rid of this circle in case you wanted to redo it. I would move it out of the way. And then I would grab it all and weld it together. And by doing that, all your cross sections have been, let me back up and see that. Now, let me zoom in, or let me select it all and then zoom in, and you can kind of see right there when I weld. Well, kind of hard to do it. You know what I can do? I can zoom in. Let me move down a little bit. Let me select it all. I'm trying to get where you can see what's going to happen. It's just almost impossible. Well, you know what? Let's try this. Let's get rid of this and get rid of this. These are all individual objects. So I'm gonna Control A, which is going to select everything. Now watch what happens when I weld it. Those crosshairs go away. It all becomes one unit. And then you could Smart Fill it and fill it in with any color you want. That's a pretty good tip. I'll use that in the future myself. And then you could always make it thicker, thinner. You could add a lot of things to this. Pretty cool. Hope that helped them a little bit. Thank you for watching.